Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday, May 20th. I'm CJ LeMaster, your lead investigative reporter and your host for the WLBT Plus Digital News Desk update on this hump day. Hope you're doing well. Hope everything is going well for you. We've got a lot of stories that we want to get to. Several of you watching right now on our YouTube and Facebook live streams, also our OTT platforms. So thank you for that. I want to get started on a story that we're following right now regarding a homicide that took place over the weekend. We had told you about this. Now police releasing video to help catch the person who's responsible. Police are actually asking for your help trying to find these individuals here on the screen. These are several people who were at the scene of that deadly shooting. Video from outside the Hideaway nightclub in DeVille Plaza on I-55 in Northeast Jackson. This is where 19-year-old Elena Duck of Brandon was shot and killed while sitting in a car. Investigators say a fight led to the gunfire around 1 a.m. Sunday. 2 other victims were injured. If you recognize anybody in this video, please contact JPD or call Crime Stoppers at 601-355-TIPS. And again, that shooting, that deadly shooting, brings us to 30 homicides for the year in the city of Jackson on our homicide tracker that you can see on our website. You can also see that there are, let me take the CCID off here so you can see the ward map. 2 wards right now have increases year to date over the previous year. Ward 1 has had, had 4 this year already, none this time last year. And Ward 6 has 5 killings in that area, 3 the year before. Plus all kinds of other information, including what details we know about these cases, can be found again on our website on this homicide tracker. And like, for example, this killing that we just talked about, all the information that we have right there. And of course, we also have been tracking these killings for the last 10 years. Right now, we are up versus last year, 7% higher than we were this time last year. According to the data that JPD gave us, they have solved more than 60% of these homicides. That's higher than the national average. Well, Jackson City leaders are pumping the brakes on an item that would have temporarily banned data centers. There's a lot of discussion out of last night's council meeting. There have also been talks about new data centers coming to Jackson. Last night, the data center moratorium or temporary suspension was back on the meeting agenda. You may remember Council President Brian Grizzell wanted to introduce this moratorium, saying it is to protect Jackson's water, sewer, and electrical infrastructure, ensure compatibility of land use with surrounding communities, as well as prevent environmental burdens and establish something of a regulatory framework. Well, last night, the council was meant to vote on formally adopting this 183-day pause, but for legal purposes and other reasons, Councilwoman LaShae Brown Thomas motioned to table that item. Other council members agreed and voted to do so. They said they need more information before they could vote.
I think we're taking the right step to put this moratorium in place to give us time to figure this out. I understand the arguments that this may send the message that Jackson is not open for business. That is far from true. But I think as elected officials, it's important to put the lives of our citizens in the front.
Now, during the meeting, many of you expressed that you are against the development. Some of your concerns, quality of life issues, noise pollution, and we don't know when or if the item will be put back on the agenda for a vote. We will continue to follow that story, but what we can tell you is that
this may send the message.
We've already had a development as we first had on our website, WLBT.com. Our Anthony Warren was able to put this up. Right now, there's a data center rezoning issue that was just added hours after this issue was tabled. Rezoning request tied to a proposed data center expected to go before the Jackson Planning Board next week. Saxum Investment Company is seeking about 190 acres to be rezoned along Forest Avenue to heavy industrial. Hearing is expected May 27th. That's a week from today. Some council members say the application doesn't specifically mention a data center, but they're concerned about impacts to nearby neighborhoods as well as the city's water and sewer systems. Hinds County District Attorney Jody Owens is pushing back on claims that he is behind the federal government's request to move the Jackson bribery trial to another city. Last week, U.S. District Judge Dan Jordan unsealed filings in the case, multiple filings, including a motion from the government to move the trial to another district or expand the potential jury pool. Now, prosecutors argue it should be moved in large part due to the media coverage surrounding Owens' decision to release dozens of exhibits. Much of that in court documents mentioned our own coverage here at WLBT. In his response to that motion, Owens says prosecutors used his filing as a convenient pretext to ask for what they already wanted. The DA is charged, along with former Mayor Chokwe Antar-Lumumba and former Ward 6 Councilman Aaron Banks, for their alleged involvement in a scheme to bring a convention center hotel to Jackson. Judge Jordan has yet to rule on the request to move the trial. Well, we also have some other news tonight. We want to tell you about the DPS commissioner. Let me go ahead and get us back up here. Having a few problems here. Sorry about that, folks. We told you earlier this week about ID issues. One individual in particular could not use it when he was trying to fly. The TSA could not get his ID, his driver's license, to scan. So we've heard other cases of that happening, many other people having some of the same issues. Public Safety Commissioner Sean Tyndall says TSA has told the state the issue is on TSA's end, and the federal agency needs to make a system upgrade to address the problem. But we compiled a list of other locations where scanners are not working properly, and we showed that list to the commissioner.
Sometimes I use my credit card and it doesn't work in one location, and I go somewhere else and it works. Sometimes, again, the problem is on their side of the equation. Sometimes it's on ours.
Tyndall says they had a known printing issue about 1.5 years ago, but they believe that was resolved. He thinks any ongoing issues are likely on the scanner side. Well, the Jackson City Council last night also voted 3-2 to let the police department accept a 6-figure donation. Now, this comes, of course, after more than a month after the mayor's office proposed a contract giving new chief Rochelle Brackney extra benefits like severance pay, relocation expenses, moving expenses, etc. The mayor's office pulled that contract before the council could vote on it, later saying it identified a private source for the money for the chief's perks that would support those benefits. But state law prohibits supplemental pay for public officials, even if the money comes from public or private sources. Now, the agreement says that a group called Jackson Rising will provide up to $100,000 to the city for public safety initiatives, but it explicitly states the money is not earmarked for any named employee. It also says if the money is used for salary supplements, that can be done only if it's authorized by city action and state law. 3 on Your Side found that the Jackson Rising organization became a nonprofit on the same day this agreement was approved. And as it's written, certain aspects of the organization are inaccurate. The donor agreement that was put before the council and approved called Jackson Rising a tax-exempt 501c3 organization. Well, that's simply not the case. It's a nonprofit under state law, according to the state, because they filed incorporation with the Secretary of State's office, but it takes weeks, if not months, to be considered tax-exempt at the federal level. That has not happened yet, even though the agreement the council voted to approve last night says otherwise. Now, we asked city spokesperson Nick Lott if Jackson Rising was the private source identified weeks ago to fund Chief Brackney's perks. He didn't answer that question, but he did answer others that we asked him, saying in part that the city is creating a structure that is legally and ethically analogous to the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation, the Bulldog Club, similar organizations that use a private entity to help fund and supplement university missions in a variety of ways. You can see more of what the city said to these concerns on this story on our website, WLBT.com. Well, the Jackson City Council voted 6-0 to pay nearly $100,000 to 6 organizations and to create summer programs for youth. This is all part of the Safe Summer Initiative. One of the groups in this proposed plan is Metro Booming Trading Academy. They plan to teach young people how to deal with conflict and learn skills that will help prepare them for the workforce. And we always try to make sure that we end on a positive story. And we want to tell you about a group that is starting something from a once used but then vacant school property here in the capital city. The Redeemer School in Jackson, celebrating an expansion project that also helps prevent the decline of a vacant school campus. Groundbreaking ceremonies were held yesterday at the former Chastain Middle School, Redeemer's future location. Students, families, and stakeholders gathered for the event to mark the first public-private school property repurposing in Jackson. The 100,000 square foot building sits on more than 21 acres. It'll be home to 125 K through 4, or I should say K through 4 through 8th grade students.
In November, we were still trying to figure it out. Even though we are a little bit, this is an amazing day because it's just a culmination of God's faithfulness to us. This is providence. It's just a blessing for so many people. We are so excited. Our kids love this.
Renovations are slated to begin in late summer. Classes are planned for August of 2027. And that is all the time we have for this edition of the WLBT Plus Digital News Desk Update. Jewel Donaldson saying good evening. Jewel, hope you're doing well, and happy hump day to you. Of course, our First Alert Weather Team will be in here at 2:30 to let you know how the rest of your week will be. If you were up late last night, you heard the pitter-patter of raindrops, and we had a little stormy activity, but nothing severe. You might want to know how that affects your weekend plans. What kind of other rain chances are we going to see this week? Our First Alert Weather Team has your back, and they will be on your side with those answers at 2:30. Also, our early evening newscast start at 4 p.m. on air and online. For everyone here at WLBT, I'm CJ LeMaster, your lead investigative reporter and your host for the Digital News Desk Update each weekday. Thank you so much for watching. And again, we will see you back here tomorrow at 1.